Tomorrow is the FPL deadline for FPL Game Week 28 and my team is looking dangerous, but with one or two free transfers I could take it just to that next level. Do I buy Harry Wilson or Dango Ouattara, or do I triple up on the Brentford attack? We're going to talk about that in today's video, so let's get into this. Welcome back to the FPL Mugs YouTube channel and welcome to today's team selection video for FPL Game Week 28. If you're brand new around here, make sure you've clicked subscribe and don't forget to like the video either. It's going to take you 2 seconds to do. It's one of the best ways to support my channel. Let's aim for 15 likes on today's video. We're straight into the back line as always with these videos. Double Arsenal defence in the lineup for Game Week 28. No longer triple with Timber. Currently just sat on the bench. That could of course change, but I feel as though Timber has went slightly out of fashion within the FPL meta as of late. The assists haven't been there for a good number of weeks. The defcons really don't exist for Julian Timber. I just think Gabriel's the pick we all want. With them blanking in 31, slowly these type of players are going to be offloaded or benched within that blank game week. So I don't feel as bad possibly selling Timber soon, but I would quite like him next game week and the week after. So he is benched currently and just going with that double up of Gabriel and David Raya. Of course, Virgil van Dijk has been in the team for a large amount of weeks. However, people are starting to bring him in for this game week in particular. Liverpool go on a fantastic run of games. I mean, we'll pull up the fixture list here so you guys know. We've got West Ham, Wolves, Spurs, Brighton, Fulham, Everton, and then Crystal Palace leading us into game week 34. I think it's a really good run. I think you could even consider some Liverpool attackers as well. We know that Florian Wirtz has been slightly, rising up in popularity in recent game weeks, with him just looking a lot better for Liverpool, but we of course don't know about that injury just yet, and we'll probably hear about it in all honesty today in some of the press conferences. But defensively, I think Liverpool have looked fantastic as well. It's been one of those things this season, and we spoke about it in this week's transfer plans video, where the media narrative around the champions of Liverpool has kind of put them down in people's eyes, my eyes anyway. In terms of looking at their data though, the data has been pretty good. I think that's kind of what I'm focused on here. I want FPL points and not just focusing on, oh my god, Salah's legs are gone. I just want the points here, and for me, Virgil van Dijk has done that in the past few weeks, and especially the last two in particular, which has definitely caught people's eyes for this game week. Another under-the-radar pick here, Anderson. Now, I'm going to check his ownership here. 4.6% still in FPL. This guy, I don't know how, but he has gone so under the radar this season. He's been brilliant for my FPL team week in, week out. Fulham have been pretty decent this FPL season. And for me, the next 4 games for Fulham, for me personally, I'm on a wild card in game week 32. That's the strategy I'm on. So having Fulham players is really good for that in my eyes. You got Spurs, West Ham, Forest, and then Burnley at home in game week 31. And then a really bad set of fixtures from 32. Fulham players almost fit my team perfectly with my chip strategy. So really, really pleased about this defence. I think it's strong. Potentially Timber could come into play, but we'll talk about who could be benched instead of him in the midfield section. We're currently lined up in the midfield just like this. Elliot Anderson, Bruno Fernandes captain, Tavernier and Enzo Fernandez, with, of course, João Gomez sat on the bench. We had him in the double game week and we really don't want him anymore, and he could be transferred out this game week. But currently how we're set up with Anderson, of course, Brighton away from home feels like a decent enough fixture, and Elliot Anderson is a pretty much guaranteed 3 or 4 point player in FPL. Plays past 60, gets defcons it pretty much every single game. I don't know, it just feels like a safe option this game week, but I feel as though benching him for Julian Timber could be somewhat considered for my side in game week 28. Timber, for me, of course, always has unbelievable clean sheet potential, being an Arsenal defender, being the best defence in the league, but Would I not prefer to play an Elliot Anderson, who's pretty much guaranteed a 4 points this week, compared to Timber? He's playing a Chelsea side that just maybe look a little bit better as of late. It's really hard to tell. Of course, last week tells us a completely different story about Chelsea, but it's a difficult call in my eyes. But that's one of the calls I could make this week, of benching Elliot Anderson and actually playing Julian Timber. Bruno Fernandes captain is an interesting one. I've slightly went off it as the week has progressed. I was on it firmly at the start of the week, but Crystal Palace at home feels like a good enough fixture. Palace slightly on the downfall as of late. Their defensive data doesn't look strong whatsoever, but I don't know, I've got that many good options in my team this week. Maybe it doesn't fall on Bruno Fernandes. I think he's a very strong candidate this week, and he is currently my captain for game week 28. Tavernier is back in the side. We did take a risk and start him in game week 27. However, he was just on the bench. It is what it is. You can't control things like that. It's a risk I probably shouldn't have taken, in all honesty. But this week, I'm happy to take that risk, even if he does play my team Sunderland at home. Look, I think people are starting to realise he's back now. He is probably a really great option. Long term as well, Bournemouth's fixtures look incredible. In fact, actually, not so much long term. I would say medium term. We've got Sunderland, Brentford, Burnley and Manchester United. We then go on a pretty hard run of Newcastle and Arsenal back-to-back. So for me, it's a sort of medium-term, even short-term move. 4-week punt up until your wildcard for Tavernier, or even just like a Ryan of Bournemouth, or an Evan Nielsen as well. However, Evan Nielsen's minutes haven't been fantastic, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But Tavernier, fantastic. I'm so happy to have him back. He's been on my bench, red flag, for the longest time, and it has really annoyed me. So happy he's back. Enzo Fernandez is a player I'd love to bench this week, and with one free transfer, that could be the reality. Arsenal away is just not a good fixture. Palmer being back for Chelsea has dampened Enzo Fernandez' potential as an FPL asset as well. So yeah, across the midfield, maybe one or two changes that I could make just to improve it that little bit more. It's mainly just around being able to bench Enzo Fernandez, and we'll cover the transfers I could make at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Moving lastly onto the forward line and the transfers I could make this game week, starting with Evan Nielsen, who has been substituted twice early in the last two fixtures. A big worry for my side, especially with one of those substitutions coming in the 57th minute, which was so annoying. But I feel as though with the fixtures that they've got coming up, Sunderland at home, Brentford at home, Burnley away, Manchester United at home, I can almost ignore the minutes in some way with the fixtures being that good. He's not on penalties because Tavernier's back, but I do own Tavernier, so, you know, it doesn't matter that much. It just feels like it's been a while since he's done anything on my side. 2.6%, a really nice differential with the fixtures coming up, but when he scored against Liverpool, it's just been a long time. I need him to do something this week. I'd love for him to just get a little goal or something, but he does play my side, Sunderland, so I really just want him to blank, to be honest with you. I'm a bit torn with this one. But Erling Haaland is another one I'm torn on. Leeds away from home feels like it could be a captaincy shout. However, on the other hand, would you be surprised if Leeds make this as hard as possible for Manchester City at their home ground? I actually don't know where to put this one. I really don't. That's why Bruno is currently my captain for the game week. I still think he'll do well in the fixture, but I'm not sure he'll do as well as Bruno Fernandes in terms of points. We move to Thiago with Burnley away from home. It's almost that same conversation. Burnley have had some results in the past 2 weeks. Obviously, last week against Chelsea, drawing 1-1. Maybe that puts them up for the game a little bit. Thiago is a brilliant striker, and he's proved that this season. Potentially a little bit of an outside captaincy shout here, but again, I feel as though Bruno Fernandes will get more points. He just has that ability. Obviously, we've seen in recent weeks that DEFCON isn't quite getting achieved by Bruno Fernandes, so maybe that puts him down a peg or two in normal captaincy order for the game weeks, but Yeah, I really do like Bruno Fernandes as captain, but Haaland and Thiago are definitely in the conversation here. In terms of my transfer this game week, so far, we have thought about doing this and just selling João Gomez to Harry Wilson, benching Enzo Fernandez. Again, it brings the conversation of, do we just play Timber instead of Elliot Anderson? But I think once we really get a good idea of press conference information, that will maybe clear that decision up. But Harry Wilson coming into the side. Now, the funny thing about Harry Wilson is I actually don't like him that much from a data point of view. I really don't. But when we think about my wildcard timing and particularly my chip strategy as a whole, I need a player for the next 4 weeks. Harry Wilson has great fixtures for 4 weeks. So he's got Spurs, West Ham, Nottingham Forest, Burnley. It feels like a really easy move to make. Now, I'd love to go ahead and get Dango as well this week, but I feel as though I don't need that extra transfer, and in fact, it could help me out in the long term. If I just rolled my transfers for the next few weeks, my team looks brilliant for the next few weeks, by the way. If I just rolled my transfer all the way until my wild card and then used my wild card and had 4 free transfers, the next game week, it does feel really great. I'm on a bench boost that week anyway, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to that chip strategy, and I think Harry Wilson could, lead me into that wild card really nicely. Possibly looking at Kevin Charter as well. There's too many options this week, but Harry Wilson is currently number 1 to bring in on my list, despite me not really liking his data that much. And that's quite a big thing for me in my FPL team, as you would know, but I do think he's a quite nice fit to my team. But that is the team selection, guys. That is the transfer plans for the game week. Please, in the comments, let me know what you're doing for FPL game week 28. And of course, I will be seeing you tomorrow for the deadline stream. Just a quick outro to today's video. I know a lot of you were asking last week why I wasn't streaming. I was just that little bit too busy. But this week, I have made time for you guys. I will be streaming for tomorrow's deadline, so make sure you look out for it. Make sure you're joining in. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you did enjoy this video, though, make sure you've dropped a like and, of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for future FPL content and FPL streams. But that is everything for today's video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.